guys, welcome back to Wine Novel Books with your girl Kay. I apologize. I was supposed to drop this video last week, but the plans didn't go, it didn't happen because of my vacation and the timeline, and I had to do mad stuff. So I apologize, but I'm dropping it right now. Hood by Noire was suggested by Bailey London, so shout out to you for recommending this book. Before we get into the video though, I want to go through the reviews that I have left. So I have Brianna A requested a cartel series. So I have it here. As you can see, the book is thick as hell. So would you guys, I think it's part 1 to 3 in this. So would you guys rather me break up the book into 3 videos for part 1, 2, and 3? Would that be easier, or just do it in one video? Let me know. I'm about to start reading it. Then we have Money Over Everything by Key. Key suggested this. We have Genesis. She suggested Toni Morrison. And then we have Mashley. She suggested Hood Feminism. And then Bizarre Star requested Be More Careful by Shannon Holmes. If I missed you and I missed your recommendation, drop it in this video. I write them down as I go, so I apologize if I didn't say your name for the recommendations. But anyway, let me know what y'all think as far as what I should do for the cartel series. But let's get into the video. So, Hood by Noire. That's this book. It's a simple cover. Alright. I would rate this book, I'ma say 3.5. And the reason why I rate this book a 3.5 because I wanted more out of the ending. The book it kept me engaged, but the ending, I thought it just could be so much better. I feel like the author rushed the ending a little bit. And that's why I'm giving it a 3.5. All right. Again, shout out to Bailey London. So we're introduced to the character Hood, aka Lamont, or Lamont, aka Hood. So in the beginning of the book, Lamont, we're going to call him Lamont for right now. Lamont is 11 years old, and he has a 4-year-old brother named Moo. So the two brothers are walking the streets of Brooklyn. They are in Brownsville, from Brownsville. Shout out to Brownsville. And they are hungry. They are homeless. They are cold. They are going through it. They've been sleeping in abandoned buildings. So both brothers came from a good home. Unfortunately, the father was a police officer, and he got killed in a police shooting, police shooting police. The story was just never really clear about that. And then the mother was she was a strong mother. She took care of her kids, kept them clean, kept them clothed, everything. But when they actually lived in a house out of Brooklyn, when the father got killed, they moved back to Brooklyn. The mother, unfortunately, could not handle the father's death, so she turned to drugs as her way of coping, and drugs took over her life. She started forgetting about the boys, and the boys had to fend for themselves. So Lamont did everything he could to keep Moo fed, clothed, but the circumstances during that time is a drug epidemic, so it's not much that he could have done. So in the book, they're walking because 2 other, I don't like to call people crackheads, so 2 other drug addicts, but that's what they call them in the book. 2 other drug addicts had kicked the boys out of the place that they were staying in, the abandoned building. So they're walking the street, right? So that's Moo and Lamont. And then as they're walking the street, Draco, he's another character. At the time, Draco is 13 years old. Draco sees the boys. Now, I'm going to introduce each character separately. So, Draco is 13. Draco is a psychopath, right? So, but you don't find out that more until the book. So, Draco lives with his mom and little brother. So, first of all, his mom and his little brother is scared of Draco. Draco has a temper. Draco is impulsive. Draco is defiant. Draco does what he wants. He beats people up. His mouth is reckless. He is, for him, I forgot the terminology you use. I can't think of it right now. another child molests another child, there's a name for it, but he does that to little boys, right? So he forces little boys at the age of 13 to, you know, give him oral sex if they don't answer to him, right? So no one can control him, and the mother is scared. So the mother has to lock her fridge. He don't have access to food. She has to lock the little brother in the bedroom at night when Draco's in the apartment. And you know, Draco has no remorse for anything he does. He has no emotion. He doesn't care, like, at all. He does not care. And that's where we at right now. So Draco sees, you know, Lamont and his little brother walking or whatever, right? So then, you know, I'm gonna fast forward just a little bit. Hold on, let me make sure. Hold on. All right, I forgot this part with Draco. So Draco now works for Xanbar. Xanbar is a notorious drug dealer. Draco at the time is a corner boy, so he looks out, you know, when the other people are giving the drugs and making sure that there's no cops coming or anything like that. So that's what Draco does, right? Y'all already know I have my notes here. So, and then in the book, Draco's mother basically states that, you know, you're just like your daddy, you have a temper, you know, so it's not even learned behavior, it's genetics. So, you know, he got everything that Draco is, his father was. And sadly, the mom loves Draco, but there's nothing that she could do right now. You know, she's in a place where it's like, she want to kick him out, but she knows that's her son. She don't want to do him like that, but it's like, it's either her or Draco. But Draco comes and goes as he pleases. All right? So, that's Draco. So back to Lamont and Moo. So as they're walking, they have walked past a barbershop owned by Fat Daddy or Fat Boy. Which one was it? Fat Boy, sorry. So the barbershop is owned by Fat Boy. So they walk past the barbershop multiple times, and Fat Boy ends up seeing them and like, yo, realize, like, you know, they look hungry, they look cold. So he calls them in to the barbershop. Now at the time, Fat Boy is a man to be feared. No one crosses him. All the drug dealers come to his barbershop. He's protected. He's a killer. He has no emotions for anyone except his daughter Egypt. So the boys go into the barbershop, and Fat Boy takes a look at them, and Lamont is basically not with it, but he knows that Moo has to get out the cold, and it's a warm place for right now. Lamont, and let me start right there. From a young age, Lamont has always been a protector. He's been a boy of morals and principles. He's very caring, but he has this a survival mentality. But he's not gonna cross the people that he love or interact with unless they do something to him. So he's always on point. He don't like handouts. He's not gonna put himself or his brother in a position where they are owing anyone. So that's the mentality that he's on. His head is always on the swivel, right? Good. So they're in the barbershop. Fat Boy gives them some food to share, and in the barbershop, that's where Lamont meets Egypt, Fat Boy's daughter. So him and Egypt instantly have a connection, you know? And it was just like love at first sight. So I'm gonna pause right there. Before the boys was in the barbershop, the beginning of the story with him and Moo walking the streets cold and him trying to keep Moo warm because he's full, it was like really breaking my heart. Like I said, I tell you guys all the time, I am emotional. So, but it's more emotional when it's children, you understand? I know their characters. But anyways, so I for some reason in my head, I'm just like, you know, look, he's not going to survive. No matter what Lamont is doing, I automatically thought that Moo is going to die. But let's continue with the story. So about a couple hours later, Fat Boy's getting ready to close up the shop. You know, before he does that, he gives Lamont and Moo haircuts, make them look presentable. During the time that they was getting haircuts, both boys had ringworms. They was smelly, they was dusty, they was everything. So it was just like they was going through it. But everybody in the barbershop knew that they were the children of Marjay. Their mother name is Marjay. And back in the day, Marjay used to be the finest piece. Well, she's not a piece. She used to be the finest woman walking the blocks of Brooklyn. And unfortunately, you know, the drug overcame her, and now she's just another statistic, right? So they let it rock. And Fat Boy also used to be in love with Lamont and Moo's mother. So, you know, he didn't have a soft spot, but he had a little compassion at that time. So after that's all said and done, Fat Boy is basically like, y'all gotta get out my shop, whatever. So Lamont's like, I thank you, you know, when I could pay you back, I'll pay you back, or whatever, right? So they leave. I skipped this part. So while they was in the barbershop doing all that, Zambar's crew was in there. Like I said, the drug dealers hang out there, and his main man Kraft was in there, right? So Kraft had left the barbershop a little before Lamont and Moo. So when Lamont and Moo left the barbershop, they was going down this alley, and they happened to see Kraft getting stick up by the same two drug addicts that kicked him out the abandoned house. So Lamont told Moo to hide behind the little garbage. They hide behind there. The two drug addicts end up killing Kraft and stabbing him up. So they end up taking the drug package from Kraft, but Kraft had hid, you know, his gun and money in his drawers. So when the two drug addicts ran off with the drugs, Lamont now goes up to Kraft, takes the gun, takes the money out of his drawers, leaves from there, grab Moo and dip off. So he dips off, and he's like, all right, you know, I'm gonna beat the two drug addicts to the spot because I know where they're going. They're going back to the abandoned building. So they run back to the abandoned building, right? Lamont tells Moo to wait on the corner. Lamont goes into the building waiting for the drug addicts. Some time passed, drug addicts come in. Lamont just start blasting. Boop, 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 boop. Mind you, he's 11. Boop. He killed both of the drug addicts. He take the package back, right? So then, I believe it was the next day. The next day, he goes back to the barbershop. Zambar's there. He confronts Zambar like, you know, this is the package that was on Kraft. This is everything that was on him, his gun, all that, his jewelry, all that. Zambar is like taken back because Zambar had put the word out, you know, later that day that Kraft got killed, we find the killer. So Hood goes up to him like, yo, I took care of them. Here's just your package back. Zambar asked for the money. Lamont's like straight face, like, what money? So Zambar automatically liked that about him. And he's like, all right. Then he decided to put Lamont on that day. So now Lamont is in the drug game. He's now called Hood. So Zambar also gives Lamont some money. Lamont then goes to Fat Boy and like, yo, Fat Boy also sell like stolen goods and shit out the back room of the barbershop. So Lamont buys up all the stolen goods. Then he told not Zambar, Fat Boy, that he wants to run out the back room so him and his brother can have a warm place to stay, right? So Fat Boy agrees. That's how, you know, they get a warm place to stay. Mind you, I'm still thinking that even though now they're out of the cold, something's gonna happen to Moo, the baby brother, right? So, hold on. All right. Back to it. So Zambar gives Lamont all Kraft's corners because he liked how Lamont did things. Now we're gonna switch from calling him Lamont to Hood, right? Because now Zambar gave him the name Hood. So Hood now is running the corners. Zambar decides to put Draco second in command to Hood. So now Draco's the type of person, like, he's been waiting to become a boss, and the fact that Zambar then put Hood in charge of the corners that he was waiting on, and that he's never been in the game and all that, he's jealous. So he starts putting up a fit or whatever, and Zambar's like, yo, basically you gonna step in line or get to stepping or whatever. So Draco decides to fall in line momentarily, you know. Zambar also gives Hood a crew. So in Hood's crew, you got, at the time, you have Saki, you have, hold on, I don't even think I wrote that joint down, bro. You got Saki and two other people. Don't remember the name, but you gotta remember Saki's name because him and Hood start getting close or whatever. So during this time, while Hood is, getting the soldiers in line and running the business, Hood is a man of integrity. So he ran his position accordingly. He kept his soldiers in line. His count was never short. He handled business. He handled anybody who stepped out of line. Like, he would beat them. He would smack them up. He would kill them. He did anything necessary to show that, this is what it is. But he did it with respect. He only did it when people got out of line and tried to test him. Mind you, he's still young. The older drug dealers started looking up to him. And Draco, Hood is more so the moral one, he thinks. And Draco is more so the manpower, So they were like a dynamic duo. So they ran the street together. They did what they had to do, and people respected that. Hood also gave food to the neighbors, that he helped the elderly. So he did his part. He was a respectable drug dealer with morals and principles, right? So now shit start getting crazy. So as the days and weeks are going by, Moo starts getting close with the crew, and everybody loves Moo. He's a funny little boy. He's sweet, but he also starts getting sick. So now he's getting sick. He gets sick every day. Nobody's taking him to the hospital. Nobody's Hood is getting nervous. Next thing you know, I can skip over a little bit. So yeah, because that's not important. Next thing you know, Hood Moo is like looking like he about to die in the back of the barbershop. So Hood picks up Moo and starts dipping out to the hospital, running, like have Moo in his hands running to the hospital. So Draco decides like, yo, I'm faster than you, I'm stronger than you, I'm gonna take him to the hospital. So Hood hands over Moo to Draco, rush him to the hospital, right? Next thing you know, come to find out, Moo dies, okay? Moo dies from pneumonia. He had it for weeks. The doctor was an asshole, like, oh, basically you should have just brought him in earlier. There's nothing we could do. He's dead. That's how he said it. And it broke my heart. It broke Hood down. Like, Hood never showed emotion, but, it broke him down for his little brother to die like that. The only real family that he really had left. It broke him down. It really, really broke him down. And it was just a hard thing for him to deal with. And his Moo's death, I was crying. I read that part. I was on the bus crying. Now I'm upset bus. I don't take the bus. I'm sorry. I was actually on vacation in Virginia reading it in the car. Like, it looked like a bus. And that's when I read Moo's death, and I was crying. And my best friend was like, what's wrong with you? I'm like, my little boy Moo died. So anyways, so yeah, so now that Moo's dead, Hood heart is more cold. So while Hood is out on the corner, damn, I had skipped the part, but that's not really important. Anyway, so now after Moo's dead, Hood's heart is cold, and so he don't give about nothing but Egypt, because Egypt and him is, they secretly dating. They having sex. He loves her, she loves him. She sees the potential in Hood. And Egypt is a little girl at the time that she has her head on straight. Like, she grew up in Brooklyn, but she always had to find things in life. Her father was provided for her. She was never placed into that world, that environment, actually, where she had to, fend and survive for her own. She's very smart. She's determined to become a doctor. She wants to get out of the hood. She wants Hood to get out of the hood. She wants him to acknowledge that he has more potential, because Hood also wants to be a rapper. He loves to rap. He think whenever he's in a situation he needs to clear his mind, he raps lyrics, that's his dream. But right now his mode of survival is selling drugs. And I should say this, Hood despise women using drugs. He's like, any woman that can put the pipe, because at the time he's selling crack, to her mouth, is a weak woman and he has no respect for them no matter the circumstances. So, you know, that's how he feels about his mother. He don't give a fuck about his mother. And then all the time while, you know, Moo is dead, they was looking for her, the mother, that she was nowhere to be found. She had disappeared. So, you know, she wasn't there. He hated her more because it's like, yo, she don't even, he basically said like, she don't even know that her son is dead. She's missing, and, you know, she only care about the pipe. So that's why he has a strong dislike for when women uses drugs. Right? So after Moo's death, you know, time passed. Now Hood, Draco, everybody they grown men and grown women, right? As far as like, well, they're not grown men and grown women. They are teenagers, grown teenagers, 17, 18, 16, 17, 18. So they got the drug game on lock. You know, Egypt is doing good. She's about to be in her final year of high school. Everything's going smooth, right? And then shit starts hitting the fan. So hold that thought. All right. So shit starts getting real. So remember I introduced you guys to Saki. Saki has a sister named Zena. Saki's also white, Zena's white, but they grew up in Brownsville. Their parents are dead. Zena is a white girl, but she got a black woman's body. So she's voluptuous, she got breasts, she got ass, she got all that. So all the dudes in the hood flock to her, right? So as they get older, they start seeing the problems that's going on. So, as I stated, Fat Boy was basically a respectable gangster, but he had a gambling problem. So, over the years, his gambling problem got worse. He started borrowing from Zambar. He lost all his money, so Zambar had to take over his barbershop, took over his anything that he owned. Fat Boy is basically Zambar's bitch now, and the only place that they are confined to is his apartment, right? So he has nothing. So Zambar approaches, approaches Hood with a proposition like, yo, your boy Fat Boy is in a hole with me. I need you to take care of his situation for me, and I know how you could do that. So basically, you know, he's like, I need you to rob Chaos. Chaos is another drug dealer, and take his product, kill his people, all that. This is a payday that's gonna, you know, repay Fat Boy's death. It's gonna protect Egypt because, you know, people who owe money, you know, their family get killed too. So the only thing Hood cares about, he cares about Fat Boy because Fat Boy helped him out, but he cares about Egypt because Egypt is his girl. So he agrees to do the deal, right? So we're gonna pause right there. So Draco now is basically an asshole. He doesn't care about anybody. He cares about no one. I had to repeat that for the simple fact that I'm about to tell you the shit that he did. So again, Draco sets his eyes on Saki's sister Zena. Zena gets, you know, they start having sex. Now Zena is basically headsprung over Draco's dick. Saki knows how Draco gets down, tries to warn Zena about Draco multiple times, like, yo, don't mess with him, but she's already long gone. Saki basically told Zena, like, this is what's gonna happen. He's gonna sweet talk you, he's gonna use and abuse you, he's gonna get you hooked on drugs, you're gonna become another statistic, and there's nothing I could do to you. He's gonna ruin your fucking life. That's what her brother told her. And Zena straight up said, you don't own my life, you don't know nothing, I'm in love with him, she's a lost cause. So Saki also told Zena, when that shit happened to you, don't come crying to me. And, you know, words are powerful. When someone gives you a deep-ass warning about somebody, especially a crazy-ass motherfucker like that, you gotta listen. So Zena, like, she knows what she's doing. Zena don't listen. So she decides to start fucking with Draco. And I'm going to just tell you. Because when we get into the story, I'm going to tell you how messed up Draco is. Alright? So hold up. Alright, I could hold on to this part real quick. I'm going to hold on to that part real quick. Alright, so now Hood enlists Draco. Hood and Draco is the only, besides Zambo, Hood and Draco is the only one that know about the robbery, right? So Hood was like, he thinks Draco is loyal, like that's his man's. So him and Draco do the robbery. They get into a little scuffle with the people there, but they end up coming up with the product. They go back to the meeting spot, right? Ooh, just shake the camera. They go back to the meeting spot. They hiding out, for the dust to settle, and then next thing you know, the cops come busting in and arrest Hood. So Hood thinking like, yo, Draco get away with the product, because all Hood care about is like the product getting back to Zambar to save Fat Boy and to save Egypt, because he think his man's is loyal. So as Hood gets arrested, Draco beat up with Chaos. Come to find out, Draco called the cops and got Hood arrested and not working with Chaos, because Draco now is going to sell he also disappeared, so nobody sees Draco after the robbery. Hood knows nothing about this, nothing that's going down, and Draco's messing with the enemy. He goes into hiding, and now he's using the product to come up so he can take over Brooklyn. So that's Draco's plan. He set up his boy to become the boss. So all the meanwhile, Draco, Draco's a hypocrite, because Draco beat up people and killed people for being a snitch, but he turned around and became the exact same thing. But because people feared Draco, because Draco didn't care about nothing, kids, none of that, they fell in line, right? In the meantime, Xena ends up getting pregnant for Draco. Xena also ends up catching HIV from Draco. So the whole time Xena is in denial. Then she's not telling nobody. She doesn't tell him, and she's going through it. So now, and she's also hooked on drugs, right? So Xena is a drug addict. She's hooked on crack. She is pregnant, and she is HIV positive. But while she was pregnant, she didn't use drugs. I'm just gonna put that disclaimer. But shit starts getting real, right? So all the while now, let me make sure I'm in the right thing. Yep. All right. So all the while now, so Draco has disappeared. Xena's dealing with that. Saki can't stand Draco. Saki is worried about Hood. And that's that. So now, Zambar is like, yo, he's tired. First of all, Zambar owed the Italians because of Fat Boy. The Italians bringing out Zambar's neck. So they pull up in Fat Boy's barbershop. They sit Fat Boy in the chair. Long story short, Zambar stuffed clippers down Fat Boy's throat, killing him. Then he ordered Saki to shoot him 4 times in the chest. So Saki had a spot for Fat Boy. Saki also loved Egypt. Saki's loyal to Hood. Hood doesn't know anything because he's in jail. In Saki's mindset, killing Fat Boy was putting him out of his misery, but he also, it was either him or Fat Boy, so he had to do what he had to do with Zambo, right? And now this. So that's that. And then it just so happened Egypt was in an interview for a nursing internship or something like that when she got the call that Hood was in jail, because Draco called her, right? What the fucking irony? Draco calls Egypt. I'm slow today. Draco calls Egypt and tells her that Hood is locked up. Like, he disrespectful for that shit. So he playing on like, I don't know what's going on, this, that, but he locked. So Egypt runs out of the interview crying. Her future just crazy, right? Right there. So now she's dealing with that. I'm gonna fast forward a little bit. So they end Zambar, after they kill Fat Boy and all that, they leave Fat Boy in the barbershop. So now Egypt is, going into the barbershop now, turns on the light, sees her daddy sitting like that. Now she all fucked up in the head. Not only is your man in jail, your daddy is dead, and then he was killed brutally. He was murdered brutally. She's seen all that, the clippers and everything shot. Like, how could one deal with that? So now Egypt goes crying to Xena because Egypt and Xena is best friends, right? Egypt doesn't. I think at the time, I don't know if Egypt. No, I don't honestly. I can't remember if Egypt knew that Xena was using drugs. She might have known or whatever, but I don't remember that part. So she goes crying to Egypt. I mean, Egypt goes crying to Xena. So now they're in Xena's apartment, and then here comes fucking Draco. Draco end up popping up, right? Oh, I skipped the part. Sorry. So pause right there at that part. So after Draco, disappeared, he starts getting his soldiers in line and this, that, and third. He starts taking out the competition. He starts killing people off or whatever. So he calls the feds on Chaos. Chaos gets arrested. So that's the second time he snitched. Then he ends up killing Zambar. Whatever. He shot Zambar's dick off, killed him, this, that, and that. So now he runs Brooklyn. So now that he's back, he goes to Egypt. I mean, why do I keep saying Egypt? He goes to Xena's apartment. He sees Egypt there crying, like, I don't know what's going on. He's playing all sad and all that. Then he's like, I can help you feel better. I can help you cope. So then, I'm going to pause right there real quick. I thought fucking Egypt knew better than that. Egypt grew up with her head on tight. Egypt grew up around, seeing drugs and hating drugs. And she saw what drugs did to Hood's mother. She knew that Hood didn't like women who do drugs. She knew Hood's history. Hood was loyal to her. There's nothing Hood wouldn't do for her. She knew everything that occurred with drugs. We all do. We all had to talk about marijuana, but a lot of us do marijuana. Or people do marijuana. You get what I'm saying? I understand that. But them hardcore drugs is different. She knew what the stakes was, and she had a future. So I was just like, what the hell? Because Draco offered her the pipe to smoke crack to make her feel better. At first she resisted, but was like, oh no. Then she was so distraught. Let me stop there before I say this part. But I understand why she took the pipe. Egypt was a girl who never faced any trials and tribulation. She never had to be in survival mode. She never dealt with true discomfort, true trauma. So all of that wrapped into one that happened in a matter of a couple days. She couldn't think clearly. She had no way out. You get what I'm saying? So I understand, I can't say I understand. I don't want to use that word. I get it. I get why she decided to take a puff of the pipe. The minute she puffed that pipe, Egypt life was down the drain. She was automatically hooked because that was some good crack. Now, I don't know what crack tastes like, but from the book, that shit looked like it was some good crack because sis was hooked from the hit. After that, she started smoking more with Xena and everything, and shit started getting wild. So all the while, Xena knows that she's HIV positive, right? She hasn't said nothing. Draco now decides that he's gonna start having sex with Egypt. He starts hitting on her. He starts making her do things. He makes Egypt eat his ass. He also abuses Xena. What else he did? Draco was a monster. He was undercover gay. Like, we're gonna put it like that. Like, it was just he's scum. He's a scumbag. So now Xena ends up giving birth. Draco's nowhere to be found. Saki nowhere to be found. So when she gives birth, it's found that, her baby was born with HIV antibodies. So now, basically, the nurse had told Xena that, your baby could have HIV. So that fucks her up right then and there. She's like, not only did I smoke and I had sex, I passed HIV on to my kid. So that messed her up in the head even more. So now she starts doing drugs heavy. Because at one point she wanted to get clean to raise her baby. But, she couldn't deal with the guilt that she gave her baby HIV, right? So now her and Egypt was doing drugs heavy. But you would think that she caught HIV from Draco. You would think that once Draco started having sex with Egypt while she's high and doing all these things and forcing Egypt to do all these things, she would tell her best friend, right? Nah, she don't say a word. She says nothing, but the guilt is eating her up, and she's just like, yo, I don't care right now. I'm in denial, this, that, and the third. And I was just like, it's so hard. On one spectrum, it's just like you could, like, that's your best friend. You expect them to say something. But on the spectrum, it's like you're not sober. You under the influence. So why would I tell you? You get what I'm saying? If I'm in this situation, you're gonna be in this situation with me. And that's how Xena was. And I was just like, yo, that's so messed up. Like, this girl looked out for you, and you gonna violate? That's it. So anyway, so now that's going on, right? So let me just hold up. All right. So now Draco has taken over the Hood. So for Hood's case, Draco ended up scaring the witness because there was a witness that saw Hood, and the witness basically said that Hood wasn't the person that shot him or this, then the third, beat him up. So Hood ends up getting out of jail. So now Hood gets out of jail, and no one is saying anything to Hood because Hood ended up staying, what was it, like 6 months spending 6 months, 6 or 7 months in jail. Egypt had stopped going to see him. Draco didn't see him. Saki was the only one that held him down in jail or whatever. So he was wondering like, yo, Egypt loved me, why the fuck she stopped coming to see me? So Saki, I understand Saki's position, why he didn't say anything. That's not his place. He was telling Hood that, Egypt is good, whatever. He didn't tell Hood that Egypt is now a drug addict. He didn't tell Hood that he killed Egypt. The fuck? He didn't tell Hood, sorry guys, that he killed Fat Boy. He didn't tell anything. He didn't tell Hood anything. Because Draco, sorry, that sound just got me twisted for a minute. But anyway, Saki didn't tell Hood his suspicions. So Saki was like, yo, how is Draco running the Hood and this, that, and third, and how did Hood get locked up if, Hood and Draco was the only one to really know where the spot was? Like, how did the police know where to get from? So Saki already know that Draco set Hood up, but it's not confirmed yet. So he didn't say nothing. And then he also feels guilty about killing Fat Boy, so that's why he didn't tell Hood that Egypt is hooked on drugs. So now they gonna meet Draco and Hood is linked up together or whatever. Hood is being shown around by Draco, and Draco showing him like, I took over the Hood, this is what we have, I'm running things now. He also got a #1 gold plated in his teeth. He also wanted to be #1. So for Hood to be so smart, he was just oblivious to things going around him. I'm like, yo, what's going on? So now Egypt knows that Hood is getting out of jail. Hood goes to see Egypt. Egypt feels guilty, like, yo, I'm doing all these things. I'm having sex with Draco. I'm doing drugs. I know how Hood feels about it. And if Hood finds out, he's going to kill me. Because Hood isn't the type, and Hood is the type that, you cross him, you're dead. He's not going to show no emotion, no mercy, no nothing. So when Hood sees Egypt, he starts kissing her and all that. And I was just so disgusted. I'm like, Egypt, how dare you? How dare you kiss this man knowing that you having sex with his best friend and doing drugs and eating his ass and eating coochie and all that? You doing all that? How dare you? They end up having sex, and the minute they have sex, I'm like, yo, all I could think about that Egypt may have HIV because Xena didn't say nothing. Now Hood is gonna get HIV. Hood is gonna go on a rampage. I'm like, yo, Egypt is really a dirty female for that. But she was trying to make it seem like, everything's fine. I'm gonna get back to normal. I'm gonna get clean. But she loved Hood, but she loved the drugs more. So Hood had his suspicions, like she's not in school. She don't talk about school no more. She's all out all hours of the night. She's doing this. She's leaving at this time. But he never questioned her because he's just like he could understand if she having sex with other men, but like doing drugs and shit like that, Nah, he couldn't get down with that. So, because he has so much trust in her. And not to come to find out she spent all her money, right? So, there was one scene, I'm going to tell you how low down she is. There was one scene where her and Hood had finished having sex. Hood is sleeping in the bed. Draco comes busting the door like, yo, come give me some head. She like, what? She gets out of the bed, goes give Draco the head, but she's worried that Hood is going to catch them in the kitchen. And I'm just like, yo, like, what? And Draco didn't care about his man. Draco didn't care about Hood. He didn't care about nobody. He didn't even care about his own daughter. Like, and I was just like, yo, Draco is foul. The only reason why Draco, you know what? Let me save that part. So, yeah, let me save that part. So, we're going to fast forward. Hold up. Alright, so now after things is going through, you know, Xena's still taking care of her daughter, but Saki basically pulling the end of it, you know. Damn, this video is gonna be long. Let me fast forward. So Saki confirms that Draco snitched on Hood, right? Draco now starts getting suspicious about Saki, like basically, you know, you whispering in Hood's ear, you trying to stitch on me, so I'm gonna shut you up. Draco and Hood end up getting into it because Draco was like, yo, Hood needs to know his position. I'm number one. Hood is not. Hood is basically like, my nigga, like, I'll fuck you up. Because low-key, Draco is scared of Hood. You feel me? So, shit started getting real from here. So, after some time had passed, you know, Hood is not sweating the beef with Draco. They still cool, whatever. Xena ended up taking her daughter back to the clinic and finding out the daughter is, in fact, HIV negative. So Xena's like, oh my God, like, you know, this is a blessing. I'm gonna get my life together. She starts going. She calls up Miss Baker. Miss Baker's like, yo, you could come to a meeting with me. She decides that, you know, enough is enough. She's gonna write Egypt a letter because she's still a coward, telling Egypt everything. So she writes a letter to Egypt, telling Egypt, like, you know, I'm sorry, I got you hooked on drugs, you may be HIV positive, everything that happened, right? She decides that she's gonna go give the letter to Egypt. She gives the letter to Egypt, right? Egypt puts oh, wait a minute, hold on. Wait, let me make sure I'm right. All right, yeah. Give the letter to Egypt while she was going on her way to a meeting. Okay? So that's that one part. So now Hood was at a money count for when they count the money for the drugs or whatever. Then Roman, another general in the operation, had pulled Hood aside. It was like, yo, you know, the count is short. I forgot who somebody was short an account. He told him, like, you know, the reason why the count is short is because Draco is telling him to give vows to somebody. So Hood had his suspicion. So Hood is like, who is Draco telling to give the vows to? So basically Roman was like, yo, he's giving the vows to Egypt. So now Hood is fierce. He's in search of Draco. Can't find this nigga nowhere. So now he goes in search of Egypt. So he finds Egypt on the corner. Egypt trying to plead or whatever. Pulls Egypt in the car. They get to the Brooklyn Bridge. Basically, Hood has a no emotion. He goes off of her like, you know how I felt about drugs. How could you do that? You know you ain't shit. Basically, you nothing but a crackhead. So he gives her the gun. He was before he gave her the gun, Egypt was like, I'd rather kill myself. I don't want to lose you, baby. I can get clean. He was like, oh, you say you want to kill yourself? He hands her the gun. She ends up thinking about her life and everything going on, and she's like, fuck it, I'm gonna just kill myself. She pulls the trigger. She ends up misfiring. She don't die. When she misfired and she pulled the trigger, Hood kind of got a wake-up call, and it was basically like, yo, you gotta stop selling drugs, you know, and that's what it is, you know. So he wants out the game. So now he tells Egypt, like, you can either kill yourself or you could go get help. He gave her the car from Miss Baker, but me and you are done. So he leaves her on the side of the road, and that was the last time he sees her. Now he's in search for Draco. He's looking all over Brooklyn for Draco. Oh my goodness. Sorry guys. I didn't want to look before he's in search of Draco, right? Pause right there. So remember I said that Draco wanted to get back at Saki. So Draco pulls up to Saki's crib while Saki and the baby was in the crib, right? The baby sleep. Draco pulls up with 4 guys. Draco, long story short, Draco beat Saki up. He stuffed shit down his throat. He sets the apartment on fire with his daughter. Draco sets the apartment on fire. Saki is burning. When they get ready to leave, one of the men was like, "Oh shit, Draco, your daughter is in there." Draco basically said, "Leave her there." So he not only does Saki die, Xena baby dies, right, in the fire. And Saki, the whole time he was trying to fight to stay alive, he tried to save his niece, but you know, Draco didn't give a fuck. So now, I'm gonna tell you, right? Let me sit up. So now, back to what I was saying. So Hood is in search of Draco. He searched all over. He get to a club now, right? So he busts into the club, whatever. Draco is in the back room. So let me tell you this fucked up shit, right? So when Hood busts into the room that Draco's in there getting his ass eat by Hood's mother. I don't even have wine right now because I'm on a cleanse, but can you believe that shit? So Hood is taken back. So now it's fire in his eyes. He don't give a about nothing. So he starts shooting the gun, going off, right? So Draco is naked, his mother is naked. Hood ends up getting shot in the shoulder from another guy from the bouncer that had busted in. Draco's running with Hood's mother like this, you know, pull up the stairs. They get to the roof. Long story short, Draco ends up hanging over the roof after they were scuffling. Hood takes out his gun, shoots Draco in the head. Draco's dead. His mother's dead to him. His mother's foul. And then Hood ends up, you know, the story ends with Hood is rapping. You know, he becomes a rapper because his long-term friend, Reem, is a rapper. So Reem put him on, you know, he's living out his dream. Egypt ends up reading the letter that Xena fucking gave her. She got tested 3 times. She was negative for HIV, thank God. She gets clean. She goes back to school to get her GED. Hood had a concert. Egypt showed up at the concert. They locked eyes for a little bit. He see her that she started getting her figure back. You know, she looking good, but you know, he don't fuck with her no more. He says a silent prayer for her. He acknowledged her presence, and then he moves on, and that's how the story ends. You know, I thought it could be better. I thought it was rushed. But I'm glad Egypt got clean. I'm sorry that Egypt character had to deal with that. But, you know, I guess that was her testimony. We already knew. I kind of figured Hood would leave the drug game, go to rapping. Draco, dirty bastard. I'm glad he's dead. Saki was a real one. I wanted him to live. Xena, I don't give a fuck about Xena. And that's that. It was an interesting book. I'll say that. It was an interesting book. Not a favorite of mine, but the storyline was interesting. I did not expect anything. I could not figure out where the storyline was going, and that's the part that I enjoyed that I couldn't guess. The only thing that I guessed was that Moo was going to die. I knew Moo was going to die. It was just destined for Moo to die, but his death broke my heart. But in the all, Bailey London, thank you for suggesting this book. I appreciate it. Again, if I didn't mention your name in the beginning of the video about the book recommendations, drop them again in this video. Next video, I'll call them out again. Drop your comments on what I should do for the Cartel series. I appreciate everybody who tunes in to my videos all the time. Like, share, subscribe, follow me on Instagram, Wind Down with Books. But until then, your girl is out.